We were, I mean, great. I appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties.
No, it's all good. It's not even on you because I just noticed our whole entire live stream on YouTube had no sound because I didn't turn my microphone on. So that was pretty dumb. So, yeah, man. So let's get started. I appreciate it. So why don't you tell us a little about yourself? Let me know if you want everyone to know you as Antonio, Anthony, how we're going to be, talking to you today. And I'll just kind of go back through everything that we that I just kind of discussed.
Yeah, my name's Anthony. You can call me Anthony. It's fine. Antonio is usually what I use when I want to be exotic,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in aviation my whole life, basically. 38 now. My father's almost 40 years American Airlines pilot. Wow. So it's kind of grew up in this, call me an aviation brat, if you will. Started off in a lot of different avenues. Owned a cleaning company for aircraft. I work at a charter operator currently, man, of aircraft and doing charter and aircraft sales as well.
Nice. So you've been around in aviation a long time. One of the biggest questions I get is how do I become a charter broker? Or maybe you want to start out by just kind of discussing the difference between a charter broker and a jet broker. Let's start there.
Oh, I mean, the biggest difference would be, which I'm sure you speak to all the time with students, people that follow you, is you're selling the asset itself, right?
Yeah, jet brokers sell the jets, right?
Correct. So you guys are selling the asset. You're advising the principal, the buyer, of the pitfalls, of the benefits, of the needs that he specifically has for his aircraft, and you play an advisor role, right? You want to give him the best aircraft for the money he's looking for the missions that he needs, and have a happy client that buys planes for you for the next 20 years. 5 years, they're just going to re-up. Where what we do on the charter side is we sell time in that asset. For, whether it's owned by a charter company, it's owned by an individual who's letting a charter company manage it, right? What I'm doing is playing an advisor role. I like to speak of it the same way to somebody that's looking to use a private jet on a time basis, right? They just have a need for a trip. Maybe they fly 2 times a year for family vacations. Maybe they fly 2 times a month for business. And we're going to look for the best option for the price that he's looking for. If he's needs to go to and from Florida because he's got a condo down there and he likes to go twice a month, we're going to dictate those trips based on those options. Or if he's looking to go coast to coast for something, that's going to be a different aircraft. We're going to say, hey, sir, coast to coast, you're looking at super mids or more.
Yep.
The price per hour is going to be more. Does this fit your need? And that's basically what we do. But step from that is we're also handling any transportation, right? You reach out to me for a charter and you're like, hey, I'm taking the family up to Atlanta for the weekend. We're going to need a rental car on the back end. Please have some fruit trays and bagels for us and the kids. Your broker, if he's good, is going to handle all that for you as well.
Yep.
And he's going to follow up and he's going to make sure he's going to call the FBO. Hey, is my catering there? Hey, is my client's plane? Is my aircraft there? Should be there. You should be following up on all that stuff. So you're really an advisor, and for like a better term, maybe somebody's travel agent.
Yeah. No, I get that for sure. Do you find most charter brokers are independent and have multiple relationships with multiple operators, or do they usually end up, as they grow in their career, do they end up with an operator?
The two aren't mutually exclusive. Right? You can have a relationship with specific operators, right? But at the end of the day, your mission is to find the best aircraft at the most reasonable rate for your client for the mission that he's given you. So that may not be with your preferred operator, right? We don't want to really I could use a million names,
Sure.
Or this or that. Like if you're always on this operator that's super mids and heavies, but you only need to do a short 1.5 hour hop for 2 people, I'm not going to go to that super mid heavy operator, right?
Right.
So you kind of want to spread yourself out. You want to build as many relationships as you can. As a charter broker, you could do it on your own. You could be part of a brokerage, or you can work in retail sales for an operator.
Right.
There's multiple different ways that you can slice it. You're doing it on your own. Whatever you're making as a markup is coming to you. You work for a brokerage, you're going to, just like selling a jet, you're going to split that. Most charters are like a 50-50 split on the revenue side. That's not bad, in the grand scheme of things. If you have a big name behind you and just having an email that says Apollo Jets or XY Jets or whatever it is, that gives you validity too.
Yep.
Hey, this brokerage is doing $300 million a year. Like, we're going to give them, preferred options or better pricing. And
yeah, on the I mean, that's a great point. I mean, when you're working with your relationship with the operators, you can negotiate preferred, whether that's preferred rates or preferred treatment or preferred ancillary services. It's not just about a race to the bottom. Or I mean, depending on the client, it might be.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll deal with that a lot. Obviously it's a little bit different than selling the asset. Everybody wants to get the best deal, right? But you have usually one asset once you hit that point, right, in a jet deal, and you've got a plane identified and an LOI or an acquisition agreement in place. That's what you're moving towards, right? That's your goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's your goal. And that's the buyer's goal, is to get that deal. They're more incentivized with escrow deposits and all that stuff. When it comes to charter, a lot of people that are newer into flying and are getting used to spending this kind of money are solely based on price.
Yep.
And for us, it could be 5 different people trying to work the same routing, and where you're just maybe another party you're negotiating against, you're bidding against for an aircraft. But that's like where it is. Like 10 people can be shopping the same trip and driving the price up,
Mm-hmm.
5,000.
That's a great, that's a great point. I mean, I was talking earlier about the sheer volume and just looking at it from the perspective of, you're competing against other operators, like one person competing with different operators. And that, I mean, there's that competition, but at the same time, if you're looking at, especially in the holiday season, the market demand for a given trip will impact the pricing. And a lot of that's out of your hands as a broker.
Yeah. So in certain times of the year, you run into peak pricing.
Yep.
And it's a lot. I mean, you could expect double round trips all day on a round trip flight, right? If for people that don't realize, we'll give a little bit of what goes into charter pricing. If you're flying, let's just say on a super mid at like $10,000 an hour, and you're flying New York to Florida, and you want to sit there for 4 days and then fly back to New York, you may find some match trips there, but you're going to pay a lot of times round trip, right? Like that plane's bringing you down, but they're charging you to go back home. Right, and then even if it's
so for example, if it's a 2-hour flight, you're going to get charged for 4 hours on day one.
Yeah, and you can try and your relationships, you can kind of leverage this stuff, but a lot of them it's when the days are apart, right? If you're on the ground one day, you're probably not going to worry about it,
right?
But when they leave an asset on the ground and now you expect it to just sit for 4 days and not collect any revenue, they're not really incentivized to do that. You may see daily minimums invoked. All right, if you want the plane left there, we're going to charge you 2 hours a day, $10,000 an hour to keep the plane on the ground, and you can do it that way. So, but in peak pricing, you can see double round trips on a week. If you're taking your family to Turks for the week or to the West Coast, you could literally see round trip there, round trip back.
Mm-hmm.
On a really what would be a 10-hour total flight time would be close to 20, and then at 10,000 an hour, so it can get a little aggressive during the peak travel seasons.
Yeah. And I feel like, you tell me, but I feel like in the charter brokerage world, like inquiries and tire kickers and clients that you normally work with. Like there's just so much volume involved in the charter brokerage because out of all the inquiries that are coming in, it's such a small percentage that actually will follow through. You need to have a lot of volume. Easy?
It is. I mean, we've had plenty of these conversations, right? Like, what's like my biggest thing is like qualify people, because you can be inundated, and if you're not marketing yourself and putting yourself out there, the inquiries probably aren't going to come to you. You're going to have to go find them. So you're definitely putting yourself in a position to have to chop through the weeds a bit and look at it. It's all about qualifying. You really got to know the person's at least able to book, like, right? That you're not expecting them to, but has the ability to book. Because if just Joe Schmo comes to me and goes, man, I want to go, and you see it's like crazy trips a lot. I'm looking for like Teterboro to, de Gaulle Airport in Paris or something, and then back, and it's 12 of us, and it's like somebody you haven't even talked to, you haven't met. You just get the vibe that like they're not the person. I like to get names. I like to ask what they do. I have software. I put people's names in software. I love that. And like see what they do. If your name's Joe Schmo, I'm going to put Joe Schmo, and you tell me what you do, and I'm going to look, and you can validate some of that stuff.
Yeah,
it's smart. Because on the flip side, if I'm just going to operators blindly and saying, hey, I need a quote for this, I need a quote for this, I need a quote for this, and this guy's aren't going to book, your reputation and your relationships are very important in this industry. And you don't want to be, oh, that's Anthony that never books, or Joe that never books, or you want to have solid clients and build solid relationships, because that's how you get the good pricing, and and you're able to take care of your clients. So yeah, it's a lot, but it's a hunting game, right? You eat what you kill.
Yep.
So you gotta put in the time and the resources if you want to make the money.
What would you say a moderately successful charter broker? What would the salary goal be? Really successful as a charter broker.
Well, I mean, we can look at it a few different ways, right? So let's say you're at a brokerage. You're working for a brokerage. I referenced Apologetic before. I just referenced that because it's one of our sister companies. Bunch of salesmen from Apollo in my office. I didn't know how they have all of your work.
You kind of cut out a little. You cut out a little bit, when you started talking about Apollo, but you're back, I think.
Well, I just referenced them because they're a sister company of ours, and I just know how things operate, and I know a lot of the guys from there. But
sure.
If you're at a brokerage like say Apollo, you're gonna have to work. Maybe you're gonna have to do more volume, but see if that's better.
Okay, so you're going to do more volume at a brokerage because you're not making as much, right?
Yeah, so, if it's a 50-50 split, let's just say you do $1 million in revenue, right? And $1 million is not that much, but it's a decent amount, right? So if you got a guy, to do $1 million, you need to be doing about $100,000 a month. And that could be one trip to and from the West Coast for somebody. Like that's revenue. That's $100,000 trip all day.
Right.
East to west, 6 hours, 10,000 plus an hour round trip. No matter how you slice it these days, it's just what it is. It's a big boy sport now. I'd say it's crazy from what it was pre-COVID. And that's just the average. So if you're at $1 million in revenue and you work off a 10% margin, that's what most people shoot for is 10%. That's $100,000. If you're splitting that 50-50 with a brokerage, you just made 50 off of that. So, 50 is not, I wouldn't say, a modest salary, but I think it's also obtainable because you could do 4 $25,000 trips in a month and have that same $100,000 revenue, or however you want to slice it. What's your niche going to be? You're not going to get the big clients. You might get the big clients right away. It's hard work to get them. Those guys are very desirable, and every person that I have that's a charter client is getting quotes from somebody else, even if they've been with me for 5 years. It's just they want to keep everybody on their toes and make sure they're not getting getting hustled. But with working for somebody like Apollo, you could easily do, I think, if somebody starting out first year, $2-3 million in revenue, and on a 10% margin, split 50-50 with the company,
100
now
grand.
we're looking at 100, 150, right? If you're able to just do it on your own, right? You want to bootstrap this and do it from your living room or your office, and you want to build some relationships with operators and do it, the organic way and work for yourself and whatever markup it is. If you do $2 million in revenue on a 10% margin, and that whole 10% goes to you, you just did 200 grand.
Yeah.
In a year, by yourself with no real overhead. You don't need a license. You don't really need insurance. The operator has insurance. It'd be smart to be insured as a company. Yeah. But that's some of the struggles with charter brokers in general too, is the people that have no overhead, right? So like a big brokerage, they have accountants and everything. Some brokers, I have a service I can use. I just send them an email if I'm busy and say, I need I need options for this trip this day. Let me know what you have, and they'll literally go out and do all the shopping for me and come back with them and the years and the refurb dates and the Wi-Fi pencil out, like all the bullet points that I want, and I just give them a small percentage of my fee. So like things like that, a big brokerage will pay for,
right?
As opposed to you don't really need that. At the most, you can get some software and some insurance software. It's good, like Avinode and things like that, because you can see the operators and where their plans are.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not needed. I mean, you can just literally get on a mailing list for every operator. They will gladly email you their empty legs, and you can just start off with that.
Yep.
And start just pounding away in groups and forums. I mean, I've sold plenty of charter off Facebook, believe it or not. You just have to qualify.
Yep. So what's your advice for somebody who's thinking about becoming a charter broker? Why should they not become a charter broker? I guess would be my first question. And then more into the logistics of, okay, do you call, do you go to Indeed? Like how do you do that kind of stuff? But starting off, why should somebody not become a charter broker?
I mean, why shouldn't you? Some of the cons, downfalls, it's very demanding.
Yeah, I think it's important to let people know how hard it is. Yeah. It's not like an Instagram thing where you just throw it up online like, hey, I'm flying in jets, man. And people just come to you like, yeah, sure, here, take my money.
Yeah, no, it's 24/7. I'll be out to dinner with the wife and kids, and one of my regular clients is gonna reach out and say, hey, I need you to look at this trip for this date. Let me know what you can do. And then I'm instantly now in my phone, or if I'm super busy, I'll use that service. I'll send them an email, hey, give me these things. But now I've got that going on in your mind, right? And then the options come in. You got to put them together. You got to send them to the client. So you're bouncing text messages or emails back and forth. Maybe it's an assistant. It's high stakes. You can lose money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people realize if you book a charter with me, right? And I'm like, it's 25 grand, whatever. We're not even talking about market. It's $25,000 charter, right? We have a cancellation period of 10% on time of booking, which means you can't get that 10% back no matter what. Which you always try and negotiate out of those or have the contracts amended, because that's such crap for somebody to take 10% just because you booked with them, even if it's a month in advance.
But you're right. Where does that money come from? I mean,
once you pay, right? So say you gotta give me a credit card for a hold, and then you're gonna send me a wire, and I'm gonna release the hold, right? So you don't have to, if that trip's paid for, and then you try and cancel it, the client's gonna lose money. And whatever money you thought you had in your head you were spending, you were going to lose money. You're going to lose money. So that's one aspect. The second aspect where you can actually lose money yourself is if I put you on a plane, the plane breaks down, and now I'm beholden to a contract with you. I may have to come out of my pocket $5 grand or something to compensate, help get you off the ground, So you have to be careful. There's risk involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are moving people around in an aluminum or steel tube at 500 miles an hour at 40,000 feet. You know, there's human elements.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you know, it's no holidays. The holidays are your busy time.
Right. I think that's a great point. Yeah. Yeah. No, I just, especially when someone talks about wanting to sell jets, like, I'm like, okay, like, listen up. Like, right now, like, the market has changed. It's a lot harder now. Don't forget what you're trying to do. You're trying to call a random stranger and say, hey, you've never met me, but can I sell your $500,000, $1 million, $10 million asset, for you, even though we've never met? I mean, that's a big thing to ask. And so how do you you got to train for that. You got to train for the volume that you're going to need to do that. And so similar with charter, like you're mentioning, like there's volume, it's a mental game. You got to be available 24/7, holidays, like those are just realities that, yeah, is it worth it? Sure. I get why some people might find that to be worth it. They love aviation. They love this hunt. They love the compensation that you get. So by all means, go for it. Just know what you're getting into. So how would somebody get started if they wanted to explore more about becoming a charter broker?
Yeah, and last thing to mention about, I guess, the bad is you got to have thick skin.
Yeah.
Right? You're playing with other people's money. And somebody spent 70 grand on a charter and the bathrooms don't work, or they had a bad experience, or the plane was dirty. Like, that's stuff that you should know. You should be asking the operator, when was the plane refurbed? Can you have any photos of the interior sent to me? You can get some guy calling you up mother effing you, like, my bagel, where are my bagels? So, you just have to be able to pivot. Sorry, sir, that's my fault. I should have followed up, whatever. It's never perfect. You have to call the guy and say, the plane's broken. Yeah. I need to find you another one. So you got to be ready to, get a little crap, pivot, and solve problems.
Yep. No, that's great. That's great. So yeah, I mean, how would someone start learning more about it, as well as taking that first step towards becoming a charter broker?
Definitely, if you're looking to get into being a charter broker, I would. Definitely, if you have no aviation experience at all, I would start with just getting an idea about private aviation, understanding, as I tell a lot of people, find out what private jets are used. Like, look at the categories, super mids. You want to educate yourself first, right? Why would you dive into a career without having a little bit of an idea of what that career is going to entail? Look at different types of aircrafts, your Gulfstreams, your Globals, and your manufacturers. Like, people know, these are all the same aircraft, whether it's a Global or it's a 604 Challenger or a 3500 Challenger or a 650. Like, that's all the same manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
People like certain manufacturers. Learn all that. Learn the routings. Right? Like, what are people traveling? Like, what's a popular routing? Teterboro, Boca, Teterboro. Miami to Bahamas.
Yeah.
Teterboro, Van Nuys. Like, what are these big routings? Like, learn what these airports are. And each airport has its own. Each trip is different, right? If you're, I don't want to like snowball here real quickly, but if somebody's like, hey, Anthony, I want to go from Teterboro to Sedona and then come back, but it's 16 people or it's like 10 people on a super mid. Let's call it 10 people on a super mid. Probably can't do that trip,
right? Because
of the elevation, the runway is on a slope. Like, you need to learn like these different things about airports, because you could literally put yourself in a position and book somebody for a trip a plane can't do. Operator, you need to know. Like, I always follow up with operators if I'm operating on smaller jets. Like, be sure this can do without a fuel stop.
Right.
So just learn the aircraft, the platforms, the routings. As far as getting into it, there's a million and one operators, right? I mean, you could pound away, get in on Indeed. Look for different charter operators. You just Google them, call up, try and get an interview, get your resume out there. You can also do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest that the person that's going to do it themselves to really educate themselves, because you're going to have contracts and all these other things to start wrapping your head around. Right, you're going to have your own contract if you're doing it yourself. So if I'm a broker working by myself, you come to me for a charter, I'm going to go get a quote from somebody else. They're going to send me their contract. I'm going to give you my contract. You're going to sign my contract. You need credit card for a hold. I'm going going to sign their contract. I'm going to provide them with something for a hold. You're going to wire money to me. I'm going to wire money to them. You know, so it's a process.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, 100%.
By yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, while you're sitting at dinner with your family or at home. I mean, obviously, but you have your time. So you can definitely go that route. I tell people all the time, just get yourself out there.
Well, that's just it. I mean, at the end of the day, when people like ask how to get started with anything, it's like just you get started. Like you find out the information about it, and then you go find out who's like hiring, and you talk to people, right? And so shout out to Joe Peebles on the line asking any resources that we would recommend, and I think a couple of them you could check out is Googling your local operators and just following them on social and seeing where they have, where they do their trips. They're usually advertising empty legs, that sort of thing. From there, you can find out what's some of the main aircraft makes and models that they're gonna be using. You just pop that into Google, Gulfstream, G650, and you find a Wikipedia page that tells you how far it's going to go. Global Air is a great website that just has stats on specific makes and models. So, you can type that into Global Air and find out, how many people it can take with, what's the runway length it needs, how far it'll go, how fast it'll go. So, I mean, that's a great resource you can use. Check out Charter Hub. I think, from the end user's perspective, just so you can kind of see what people are doing and throw stuff in there. Even the JetLife app, we had them on the channel, and
there's a free service too. It's called Air Charter Guide. You just go on Google and type in Air Charter Guide, and you can type in the date, the routing, the amount of people, the type of aircraft, and it'll provide you with operators in that area. And a lot of them do have hourly rates right there with the aircraft. Some of them don't. Most of them do. Are they all 100% accurate? Maybe not, but they give you a solid idea. And they have, helicopters. If I'm looking for a helicopter, I usually use Air Charter Guide, but I'll just call like Heliflights or FlexJet Heli Direct. And
their Air Charter, Air Charter Guide is also same company as Aircraft Blue Book. So I mean, that's like a big conglomerate with great information. If you want to find out aviation stuff, they got a lot of good information out there. So I mean, at the end of the day, guys, if you're interested in getting, connected as a charter broker, reach out to me, reach out to Anthony. He's here. We'd love to, help you out in any way we can. But at the end of the day, it's really going to be up to you. You can't wait for someone just to like be posting job, inquiries. Like call local brokerages, call local operators, learn. And if you're a real self-starter and you want to start on your own, you can. And Anthony outlined some of the important things you're going to need to know about. Most importantly for me, when I started earlier or last year, I was looking to get into charter brokering just as an ancillary service. And what really surprised me, like you said, was the paperwork and was the holds. It was just like so much to put something on hold, like of my money. I wasn't used to putting up my money. So that was a big change. And so I decided for me, if somebody needs a charter, I'm just going to use a charter broker, or I'll go directly with an operator if they want a specific mission that I know, you want to go out of Birmingham, Alabama on a Citation Excel, to Florida or New York. Well, okay, I'm going to call Barry at Southern Sky. That's just an operator that I know I have a relationship with that I'm going to put them in touch with. If it's a random thing that I don't know, well, then I'm going to go to Anthony and just be like, hey, dude, I don't know where, how this is going to work, but here's the trip details. And, off you go, and if there's a finder's fee for me, great. But if there's not, I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, and I think for you too, Anthony, it's what's the best thing for the client. At the end of the day, where are they going to be best served? And if I provide that value to them, it'll come back.
Yeah, correct. And that's why, I spoke to before, advisors, right? Regardless if you're a jet broker, advising a client on, the proper aircraft to buy and not buying a crappy aircraft or something he doesn't need. You're advising the clients, on the struggles of the trip, what aircraft they may need, or, they're shopping you. Oh, well, I got this quote. Well, can you tell me what the operator is and who the aircraft is? And then you can kind of maybe give them a little insight. Oh, well, that's actually that aircraft I have that operator's on my do not use list. If they ask, well, I'm not really trying to bash, we just had some issues or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, I'm going to Miami. All right. Well,
Which one?
Where in Miami? What kind of aircraft exactly? Oh, he's actually further south. Marathon may be a better option. Being able to connect the dots and minimize. I always ask a client once I'm booking a trip, where are you going? Where's your hotel? So I want to make sure that, because they just give you a routing.
Yep.
Hey, I want to go from here to here. Well, there might be another airport closer.
Mm-hmm.
So you just definitely want to,
I think that's the fun part. That's the creative part of being a broker is not just being an order taker. It's getting to know your clients and then anticipating problems, anticipating solutions, and being able to offer like upsells that would actually benefit them. They might not be thinking about their transportation. They were just going to Uber. Well, you can provide a service. They might not be thinking about, requesting drinks that, hey, just so you know, like I can get you any drink that you want. Like, what do you want? Or, hey, your dog's coming on the aircraft. Like, I'm going to make sure that, they make a big deal that the dog is comfortable at the FBO. Like, as you get better and more professional about it, that's an important role because, sometimes operators are just there's so much an operator has to handle, right? Getting the pilots, the maintenance of the aircraft, the upkeep of the aircraft, like, as a broker, you have a little bit of breathing room that you can make the operator look good and make sure that the client has an unforgettable time. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, and it goes just more advising, and again, if he's like, hey, I want to go to DC, I want to find a DCA. Well, we're not going to find a DCA. Why not? We're going to go to Dulles. We're going to go to IAP. But why? Because it's going to cost you an extra, maybe $3,000. Say for what? Well, you need a federal flight deck officer on the aircraft with the firearm if you fly into the DCA. It just has to be done. You're talking about $1,000 a day plus expenses. Now, if you need them for 2 days, you just added, $3,000 onto your trip. So, sir, we'll just go to IAP. You may have to drive a little bit further, but it's a 10 more minute drive worth saving the $3,000. So, it's just another thing you want to know. I have one client, he's a pain in the ass, and I know when he hits me up, it's only heavy jets, 2010 or newer. He wants to know if they're Argus. He wants to know about the times of the cruise, like his own aircraft. He's a stick. Like he knows what he likes, he knows what he wants, he knows what he's willing to pay for. And then he won't pay more. He will happily get on a first class Delta flight if it's $10,000 more than he wants to pay. So you just know what you're getting,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. Well, hey, Anthony, I appreciate your time so much. I think we hit everything, that I wanted to get, how people get started, pros and cons, average salary, how you got involved. And is there anything that you want to leave people with, a way to get a hold of you? Because I know you're a wealth of information. Maybe, you've got something or just a contact that people can reach out to you to learn more, or, just, do your sign off, man.
Yeah, no, anybody wants to reach out to me, they can. It's A4R523. That's my Instagram. If you want to reach out direct through an email, you can reach out to me at aferrara@talentairjets.com. Feel free if you have any questions or anything. Can't spam me. We got really good spamware and filter, so
that's why he doesn't get my emails.
And if anybody wants to ever just reach out and ask questions, we've had many conversations. I'm pretty much an open book.
Yeah. And of course, if anybody knows anyone that wants a charter, or you yourself want a charter, Anthony's your guy. Like he'll get you wherever you need to go and take care of you. So I get that question a lot. Sometimes people ask me like, hey, Tom, can you get a charter? Like, yeah, I'm just going to go to Anthony, 90% of the time. So good to see you too, Joe. I appreciate that. Happy Thanksgiving to you, man.
Love you, bro. Joe's good, man.
All right, dude. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys next Wednesday for more broker training. We'll catch you later.
Talk soon. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Bye, guys. All right. Appreciate you guys checking out this video. For more information, go to theultimatejetguide.com. You can find out more information about being a broker, how to buy a private jet, how to charter a private jet. It's all there in our book, theultimatejetguide.com.